on to my third and final bookshelf. This is the bookshelf that's probably had the least amount of airtime on my channel so far. Not that I filmed a lot in front of my shelves, but it's been the Agatha Christie collection and the Clockbound Classics that have been the main backdrop, so this might be a new glimpse into stuff that I've got. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first set that I've got up there is a set put out by Faber for their 80th birthday, and it's a collection of first novels by different famous authors. So it starts with the New York trilogy by Paul Auster, The Buddha of Suburbia by Hanif Kureishi, Cover Her Face by P.D. James, A Pale View of Hills by Kazuo Ishiguro, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, The White Castle by Orhan Pamuk, Bliss by Peter Carey, The Barracks by John McCarran, Such a Long Journey by Rohingya Mystery, and lastly Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and that collection's called Faber Firsts. Next up we've got Ulysses by James Joyce, which is something that I will attempt one day, and I've got it in the Modern Classics edition. The Time Traveller's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger, Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell, The Dressmaker by Rosalie Ham, The Club Dumas by Arturo Perez Reverte, Neuromancer by William Gibson, Choke by Chuck Palahniuk, The Once and Future King by T.H. White. Now you'll be beginning to sense that there's no real order to these shelves and no real grouping of any kind of genre. It's just a hodgepodge of stuff, and there's no real reason why any of these particular books are displayed over other books that I've got. You're beginning an idea of just how eclectic my tastes are. But moving on, Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes, Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zoriel Hurston, Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winifred Watson, and my one and only Persephone book, Turner Bungay by H.G. Wells, Titus Grown by Mervyn Peake, Gormenghast by Mervyn Peake, and finally Titus Alone by Mervyn Peake. Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons, and this is one of the Penguin Deluxe editions. The Death of Artemio Cruz by Carlos Fuentes, and then a little collection of Philip K. Dick. So we've got his novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I've also got all 5 volumes of his collected stories, starting with Beyond Lies the Wub, Volume 2 Second Variety, Volume 3 The Father Thing, Volume 4 Minority Report, and Volume 5 We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. On shelf number 2 we have another random assortment of books. So first off we've got Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte and The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. These were the only 2 that I couldn't get either in the Penguin Clockbound Classic editions or the Penguin English Library editions when I was collecting the works of the Bronte sisters. Next up is Lady Susan, The Watsons and Sanditon by Jane Austen, and then somewhat related, The Jane Austen Book Club by Karen Joy Fowler. Next up is this rather unappealing film tie-in cover of The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. This was a second-hand copy that I might have to replace someday. The Children's Book by A.S. Byatt, We by Yevgeny Zamyatin, probably not, American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis, and Glamorama by Bret Easton Ellis, 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Then to some of the Vintage Rose Fine editions. I've got some on this shelf, there are a couple on the next shelf, and another little pocket further down again on this bookshelf, and I don't think that's the extent of my collection. They're kind of scattered around everywhere. Maybe one day I'll get them all together. The Complete Fairy Tales by the Brothers Grimm, The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami, The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, and Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. Next, some Penguin Modern Classics. A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, Make Room by Harry Harrison, and The Spy Who Came In From the Cold by John le Carre, White Teeth by Zadie Smith, and On Beauty by Zadie Smith, Monkey by Wu Cheng-en, The True History of the Kelly Gang by Peter Carey, then some little orange Penguin classics, starting with The Beach by Alex Garland, Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote, The Inheritance of Loss by Kieran Desai, The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, 2001 A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke, then some Dashiell Hammett. So we've got this one that contains The Dane Curse, The Glass Key and Selected Stories. It's one of the Evermans Library editions. Then some individual novels, Red Harvest by Dashiell Hammett, The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett, and finally The Thin Man by Dashiell Hammett. Then moving on to the third shelf, I've got 5 P.G. Wodehouse Jeeves and Wooster omnibuses. So Volume 1, which contains Thank You Jeeves, The Code of the Woosters and The Inimitable Jeeves. Volume 2 containing Right Ho Jeeves, Joy in the Morning and Carry On Jeeves. Volume 3 which contains The Mating Season, Ring for Jeeves and Very Good Jeeves. Volume 4 which contains Jeeves and the Feudal Spirit, Stiff Upper Lip Jeeves and Jeeves in the Offing. And then Volume 5 which contains Much Obliged Jeeves, Aunts Aren't Gentlemen, Extricating Young Gussie, Jeeves Makes an Omelette and Jeeves and the Greasy Bird. Next up is The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikabue, and this is another one of the deluxe Penguin classics. An omnibus of the complete novels of George Orwell in one of the Penguin Wonder Classics editions, and so that contains Animal Farm, Burmese Days, A Clergyman's Daughter, Coming Up for Air, Keep the Aspidus Flying and 1984. Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. A couple more of the vintage classics Red Spine editions, starting with I Capture the Castle by Jodie Smith and Sophie's Choice by William Stone. And the rest of the bookshelf is dedicated to my Jasper Fforde collection. I've got every book that he has put out over there. I've read them all and he is one of my absolute all-time favourites, as you will probably already know. So first up is his YA series, which starts with The Last Dragon Slayer. Book 2 is The Song of the Quack Beast. And book 3 is The Eye of Zoltar. I had thought it was going to be a trilogy, and indeed it was meant to be a trilogy, but when I was nearing the end of reading this one I realised that it's not quite finished yet, and so there's going to be a fourth book that comes out at some point. Next up is his Nursery Crime series, which starts with The Big Over Easy. And then book 2 is The Fourth Bear. Again, there's going to be another book in this series. Next, the Thursday Next series, starting with The Air Affair. Moves on to Lost in a Good Book, The Well of Lost Plots, Something Rotten, First Among Sequels, One of Our Thursdays is Missing, and the latest book, The Woman Who Died a Lot. And lastly, Shades of Grey, which is meant to be the first in the series. Just no more have arrived yet, and it's very, very sad because I really, really want to know what happens next. And so that concludes the 5th instalment of my bookshelf tour. Only one more instalment to go. So as always, any questions, please let me know down in the comments, and as always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!